My ex-wife took me to court for child support for a kid that wasn't mine. She smirked at the judge until 2 DNA tests exposed her lies. For 5 years, I was married to a woman who, in hindsight, saw me as nothing more than a walking ATM. The first couple of years were fine, normal even. But slowly, the cracks started showing. Lena had expensive tastes but no income to support them. She always had an excuse. She was working on herself, waiting for the right opportunity, planning her future. Meanwhile, I was the one paying for that future. I never thought she'd go as far as to try and trap me into paying for a child that wasn't mine. But that's exactly what she did. 2 years after the divorce was finalized, I got a letter in the mail. A summons for child support. I thought it was a joke at first. We never had kids. That was a major point of contention in our marriage. Lena always claimed she wasn't ready. But now she was claiming we had a 1-year-old son? The timeline didn't even add up. I called my lawyer, Marcus, and had him go over the paperwork. He confirmed it. Lena had officially filed a child support lawsuit against me, claiming I had abandoned her and the baby. She's betting you won't fight this, Marcus said. She's hoping the court will rule in her favor before you contest paternity. That's when I realized what she was trying to pull. In some states, if you don't dispute paternity quickly enough, the court can legally designate you as the father, even if later evidence proves otherwise. Lena wasn't just rolling the dice. She had a strategy. She filed the claim without any DNA evidence, assuming I'd either panic and settle or not react fast enough to contest it properly. If I missed deadlines or failed to show up, the court could enter a default judgment, and I'd be legally responsible even if I wasn't the biological father. She's smart, I admitted. I'll give her that. Marcus smirked. Yeah, but not smarter than the law. We'll demand a court-ordered DNA test immediately. A few weeks later, we were in court. Lena walked in with a quiet confidence, dressed in an outfit that screamed helpless single mother trying her best. She wasn't acting hostile, that would have worked against her. Instead, she played the part of the wounded woman, claiming that I had abandoned her when she was at her most vulnerable. My client was devastated when the defendant walked out on her, her lawyer said. She struggled for months, raising the child alone, while he lived his life without a care. It's time for him to take responsibility. I almost laughed. The acting was incredible. Then Lena looked me dead in the eyes and smirked. She thought she had already won. Marcus stood up. Your Honor, we dispute paternity and request a court-ordered DNA test before proceeding with any financial claims. Lena's lawyer immediately objected. That's unnecessary, he argued. Mr. Carter has never disputed being involved with my client during the relevant time frame. The judge frowned. If Miss Vaughn is certain of paternity, then a test will only confirm that. I see no reason to deny the request. For the first time, Lena's mask cracked. She started to protest, but her lawyer quickly whispered something to her, probably telling her to shut up before she made things worse. The request is granted, the judge said. A court-ordered DNA test will be conducted, and the case will proceed based on the results. Lena was fuming, but she still wasn't panicking. Not yet. That should have been my first clue that she had another card to play. After the hearing, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't adding up. Why was Lena still so confident? Marcus and I decided to dig deeper. Through financial records, we discovered Lena had been receiving monthly payments from another man, Daniel Vaughn. Who the hell is Daniel? I asked. Not sure, Marcus replied, but based on the amounts and timing, it looks like child support. I sat up straight. Wait, you're telling me someone else was already paying her? Marcus nodded. Yeah, but here's the weird part. He stopped sending money 6 months ago. That's when it clicked. Lena had already named someone else as the father. She had been getting child support from Daniel for months, but for some reason, that arrangement fell apart. And the moment Daniel stopped paying, she came after me instead. 2 weeks later, the first DNA test results came in. 0.0% probability of paternity. I wasn't the father. I never had been. I thought this was game over, but Lena? She barely reacted. She sighed dramatically, shook her head, and muttered, "The test must have been mixed up." Marcus scoffed. Your Honor, my client has been falsely accused. We move to dismiss the case immediately. Lena's lawyer, however, was ready. We request a second test, he said quickly. Mistakes happen, and my client is confident in her claim. The judge wasn't having it. This test was court-ordered and properly processed. There is no justification for another. That's when Marcus spoke up. Your Honor, given that Mr. Carter is not the biological father, we request that the court determine if another individual was named on the birth certificate or has previously been legally recognized as the father. Lena stiffened. Her lawyer hesitated. Now they were the ones scrambling. The judge turned to Lena. Miss Vaughn, was another man legally acknowledged as the child's father? Lena didn't answer, but Marcus was ready. We have reason to believe that Mr. Eddie Vaughn has been receiving financial support from a man named Daniel Vaughn, who may have been led to believe he was the child's father. If this is true, then my client was not only falsely accused, but Ms. Vaughn may have attempted to commit financial fraud against multiple parties. The courtroom fell into silence. Lena's face turned pale. She knew she had just lost. The judge sighed. Under these circumstances, the court orders an additional DNA test, this time for Mr. Vaughn. Lena's entire body tensed, because now she had no idea what those results would say. Lena sat completely still, her face blank as the judge ordered the second DNA test for Daniel Vaughn. For the first time since this entire mess started, I saw a genuine panic flash across her face. She had no control anymore. Her entire case was built on confidence, manipulation, and the hope that I'd roll over and take responsibility before she ever had to prove anything. But now, the judge had backed her into a corner, and something told me she didn't know how to get out. I needed to understand how someone could pull a scam like this without thinking about the consequences. So I did some digging. Through mutual acquaintances, I learned that after our divorce, Lena jumped from relationship to relationship, never staying with one guy for too long. She burned bridges everywhere she went, borrowing money she never repaid, making promises she never kept. Then, about 2 years ago, she disappeared from social circles completely. That's when she got pregnant. She told people that the father had abandoned her. She played the victim card so well that she even convinced Daniel Vaughn, who had been dating her at the time, that he was the father. And he believed her. At first, Daniel voluntarily supported her, thinking he was doing the right thing. He helped with rent, gave her cash when she needed it, even paid some of her medical bills. Until one day he asked for a paternity test. And that's when the payments stopped. The court had now ordered Daniel to take a DNA test. But I had a feeling Lena wasn't going to go down without a fight. Sure enough, just days after the hearing, Daniel got a surprise visit from Lena. I wasn't there, but from what I heard later, she tried everything. At first, she went with guilt. She told him that getting the test would ruin their child's future, that even if he wasn't the father, didn't he love the baby enough to stay in his life? When that didn't work, she switched to anger. She accused him of being heartless, claimed he had promised to take care of her forever, and tried to make him feel like he was abandoning a child that might be his. But Daniel had already been burned once. He told her in no uncertain terms that he wasn't giving her another cent until the results came back. And that's when she went for the last resort. She told him she was pregnant again. Daniel called me immediately after it happened. Man, he said, his voice filled with exhaustion. She just told me she's pregnant again. I nearly dropped my phone. Wait, what? She swore she just found out, said she was going to wait to tell me, but that she needed me to do the right thing and be there for her this time. Are you serious? She even showed me some tests, but something felt off. It was just a picture, not an actual test. I think she was lying. That's when I knew Lena was completely unraveling. She must have realized she was backed into a corner, so she was trying to create a new emergency, one that would distract Daniel long enough to get him to stop cooperating with the courts. I told Daniel to stay the course. If she was really pregnant, let her prove it with medical records. But deep down, I was almost sure she was lying. She was running out of time. A week later, we were back in court. Daniel had done the test, and the results were finally in. I expected Lena to be nervous, maybe even angry. But when she walked in, she looked weirdly confident again. Marcus noticed it too. She's got something planned, he muttered. The judge started the hearing. Before we go over the DNA test results, is there anything either party would like to present? Lena shot up immediately. Yes, Your Honor, I have something important to share. She cleared her throat dramatically, then looked right at Daniel. I'm expecting another child, she said, her voice shaking like she was barely holding back tears. "I didn't want to bring this up in court, but given the circumstances, I feel like it's important to say that I will need support." The judge held up a hand. "Ms. Vaughn, we are here today to discuss the matter of the first child. Any future claims will need to go through a separate process. Now, let's proceed with the DNA results." Lena's face twitched. She thought she could distract everyone. It didn't work. The court assistant handed the results to the judge. He scanned the document, then sighed. "Mr. Vaughn," the judge said, "you are not the father." The courtroom was dead silent. Lena looked like she had been physically slapped. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Daniel, meanwhile, let out a breath of pure relief. Marcus leaned toward me and whispered, "This is it. She's got nothing left." The judge set the document down and looked at Lena. "Miss Vaughn," he said, his tone now ice cold, "you have now falsely identified 2 different men as the father of your child. Given this information, I have serious concerns about the credibility of your claims." Lena snapped out of her shock. "This is wrong," she yelled. "There's no way both tests are wrong." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Are you suggesting the court-ordered DNA tests were falsified?" Lena shut her mouth. She knew better than to accuse the court of fraud. But now, she had nowhere to go. I sat back in my chair and waited. Because this was the moment she realized everything had fallen apart. Lena's entire body tensed as the judge finished reading the second DNA test results. Not once, but twice she had falsely named men as the father of her child. And now, with nowhere to hide, she looked like she might actually throw up. For the first time, she wasn't smirking. She wasn't faking tears. She was just silent. But that silence didn't last. "This isn't possible," she suddenly shrieked, standing up so quickly her chair scraped against the floor. "This test is wrong. Something was tampered with." The judge's expression darkened. "Ms. Vaughn, are you implying that the court's legally sanctioned DNA tests were falsified?" Lena's mouth opened, then closed. She wasn't stupid enough to say yes. Accusing the court of fraud would only make things worse. Instead, she turned to Daniel, her voice shifting to something softer, more desperate. "You know this isn't right," she pleaded. "You were there for me, for the baby. He has to be yours. We were together the whole time." Daniel, who had been sitting quietly this whole time, just shook his head. "I don't know what's worse," he muttered. "That you lied to me, or that you didn't even bother figuring out who the real father was before dragging me into this." Lena's eyes flickered with rage. "This isn't fair." She turned back to the judge. "They can't just walk away from this. One of them is lying. There has to be another test, a mistake." The judge slammed his gavel. "Enough, Miss Vaughn." His voice was ice cold. "You knowingly filed a paternity claim without evidence, and when challenged, you attempted to delay and obstruct the process. You have now falsely accused 2 different men in a court of law, wasting judicial resources and causing financial and emotional distress to both parties. Given the circumstances, the court finds your actions to be an abuse of the legal system." Lena's face went pale. Marcus, my lawyer, spoke up, calm and calculated. "Your Honor, given Miss Vaughn's deliberate deception, my client would like to file a motion for sanctions and full reimbursement of legal fees. Additionally, we request the court consider referring this matter to the district attorney for potential fraud charges." Lena let out a small, strangled gasp. That was when it hit her. This wasn't just about losing the child support case. She was facing real consequences. No, please," she stammered, looking between the judge and me. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I was just trying to do what was best for my son. I really thought Nathan was the father. And when he wasn't, I panicked." Her voice cracked. "I didn't know what else to do." The judge sighed, long and slow, but his expression remained firm. "Ms. Vaughn, had you come to this court honestly seeking clarification about your child's parentage, this might be a different conversation. Instead, you attempted to weaponize the legal system to your advantage, first against Mr. Carter and then against Mr. Vaughn. That is not a simple mistake. That is fraud." Lena's knees nearly buckled. "Please," she whispered, "I have nothing left." For the first time since this all started, I actually believed her. She had nothing. No credibility, no financial support, and now she was about to have real legal problems. The judge turned to me and Daniel. "Mr. Carter, Mr. Vaughn, do either of you wish to pursue additional civil action?" Daniel crossed his arms. "Absolutely. I want every cent back that I ever gave her." Lena sucked in a breath, horrified. I leaned forward. I'll settle for the court sanctioning her and ordering her to pay all my legal fees. The judge nodded. This court orders Ms. Vaughn to reimburse all legal costs incurred by the defendants. Additionally, a copy of these proceedings will be forwarded to the district attorney's office for review. Ms. Vaughn, I strongly suggest you retain legal counsel, as you may be facing criminal charges for fraudulent claims. Lena sat frozen, staring at the judge like she couldn't process what had just happened. 2 DNA tests, 2 false claims, now facing legal consequences. The gavel slammed one final time. This court is adjourned. Daniel didn't even look at her as he walked out. I followed, feeling lighter than I had in years. Behind us, Lena finally broke down, a sobbing mess in an empty courtroom. She had played the system for years. Now, the system had played her, and I was done.